welcome to tonight's stream. I'm just gonna send it this time. So last time I got kind of freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh, my monitor. I'm watching it on my phone over here, and it wasn't working. So then I ended it, and then I went back and played it, and everything was fine. So that's what we are going to stick with. I'm gonna ignore my monitor stream, and we're just going to play some Arena. So as you might have seen in the thumbnail, this is Mono White Humans. So recently, I don't know, probably 2 weeks ago, after SCGCon in Indianapolis, I was like, you know what? I want to try the 60 card format. So a little bit of background on me. I started in October of 2020 playing Magic. It was right when Crimson Vow was my first set. I feel like I should have like a cute like sad trombone. I know that's not everybody's favorite set, but that was the one that I came in on. And with that, I came in and only played Commander. That was the only thing I really knew about the game. And I had played a little bit on Arena, like here and there, playing some Standard, but I just didn't like that format at the time. So now fast forward, what are we in, 2023? So about 2 years, because it was I want to say it was like October of, now you're making me question it. It seemed, just maybe time just goes by fast. But yeah, about 2 years I've been playing, and or a year and a half, whatever, and I decided to try out Pioneer. And I went to my first Pioneer event last Friday at my local LGS, and there was about 18 people that showed up, which was awesome that many people come out and play Magic on Friday nights. And I had originally chose Angels as what I was going to like do in Pioneer, but one of my students wanted to play Angels at the event. So I am a school teacher. I teach cybersecurity to high schoolers, and we love TCGs in the classroom. Like, we absolutely love it. All the things that, oh man, I can go on forever. That might be another live stream where I just talk about the benefits to the IT, cybersecurity, and just career that TCGs offer to students. But my student wanted to play Angels at an event like 2 weeks ago. I wasn't able to go, so I just built a Mono White Humans deck. And I have a lot of learning to do, to be honest. At the event, there was a lot of things that I'm thinking back and kind of reflecting on. And one of the things were like the in the meta right now, you'll see the Esika or Asika's Chariots, and I didn't realize that on one of my cards I could pay 3, remove 2 counters, and just blow it up. So I decided to just build my deck in Arena, in Explorer. So I know the meta is not going to be exactly the same, but again, for me, I just need to go through the motions of kind of practicing the deck just to see what it does, how all the triggers stack and stuff like that. So I figured I might as well live stream that. So what I'm gonna do, live stream, and then maybe in between sessions we'll pop some packs and see what we can find. I got a couple set boxes laying around, so as we wait, we will we'll pop some packs. So let's go ahead and get going into our game. We are playing MTG Arena. So again, if you do have any feedback, please leave it in the comments. I am checking the down here. I have my phone so I can see some of the messages. I am new to live streaming, so for video games and stuff like that. So I just ask that you do bear with me. So I'm not sure. I guess feedback would be, do you want to see me like in the screen? Like, would that be cool? Do you just want to see the gameplay? Again, I want to hear your feedback for what makes the stream look good, and what kind of what you guys are used to seeing. So let's go ahead and start off by checking out my deck. Again, this is the Human Pioneer deck. So what we are running here is Brave the Elements. Let's talk through some of these cards. So Brave the Elements says, choose a color. White creatures you control gain protection from the chosen color until the end of turn. So at the event, I was running quite a few of these, but I have toned it down to get a little bit more stacksy, a little bit more removal with the ossifications, which we're going to get to. but I am going to sideboard 3 more of these. So this is nice to do 2 things. Number 1, in earlier turns to act as protection against especially like the monocolored decks that are out there, but then also just saving this for that one big swing. So, you're working on getting a bunch of creatures, because this is very much a go wide deck. So getting all those creatures out there, popping the Brave the Elements, and then pushing all that damage through. Next, we have Dauntless Bodyguard. This is a great card. What it says is when it enters the battlefield, you choose another creature you control. It gains Indestructible. So basically, I could sacrifice the Bodyguard to give that creature Indestructible. So I have not used this card a ton, so that's why I'm kind of going through the motions on here in order to kind of practice, if you will, and see what the best place to use that is. Next is Hopeful Initiate. It has training, so whenever it attacks with something of a greater power, it gets a +1/+1 counter. So there's some really cool things that happen with other with a few other cards in here that allow you to just keep like moving up, because you put a counter on the bigger creature, this one gets a counter, put a counter on the bigger creature, and as long as they don't remove it, you can kind of win that race, which is pretty cool. But then it also has pay 2 colorless and a plains, remove 2 +1/+1 counters from among creatures you control. Note that says among, so any of them. You could destroy an artifact or enchantment. So there's a lot of cards that are ran for counter spells that'll say like counter target non-creature spell, and if you look at this list, there are only 4, well, really 5 with Brave the Elements, but 5 non-creature spells. So we have our Ossification, which I'm going to get to, and our Brave the Elements. Up next is Recruitment Officer. So it's a 1-drop for a 2/1, and it has the effect of, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value 3 or less from among them. Put that into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library. So this does help with some of the card fixing in your actual deck itself. So I haven't had the chance to use this quite a bit. I think I really need to work on my mulliganing skills because it is 4 mana, and tying up 4 mana, maybe I just need to be a little bit more patient. I don't know. I'm still figuring out this format and how all of this stuff comes together. It is a nice 1-drop, though, especially turn 1 to be able to drop this, or Hopeful Initiate. What I have learned is Dauntless Bodyguard. Yes, it is a 1-drop, but playing it on turn 1 kind of negates the whole purpose for playing it. So, yeah. So next 1-drop, we have Skrelv, Defector Might. This is a legendary artifact creature. Has Toxic 1, which we don't really... I don't want to say we don't care about. We don't really care about that much. But it's important to note that it can't block, which is fine. But it has pay 1 Phyrexian Plains, so either 2 life or 1 plains and tap. Choose a color. Another target creature you control gains Toxic 1 and Hexproof from that color until the end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures of the color that turn. So if you have any removal spells that are happening and they're targeting a certain creature, this kind of allows you to protect it, but it also allows you to give Toxic 1 to that creature. So if you can get this out on turn 1, and then by turn 2 or 3, you're going to start dealing the poison counters. But this deck is definitely not set up for any proliferate or anything like that. But it is a nice little protection spell that you have. And a lot of times I'll do turn 1 Deflector Might and then turn 2 Bodyguard, just to give it an Indestructible, so that way if they do try to target it with like a Stomp or a Burn spell, it'll actually protect it a little bit. So after that, we have Luminarch Aspirant. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 target on creature you control. So this is where I was talking about being able to do that kind of horse race thing with Hopeful Initiate. So turn 1, Hopeful Initiate. Turn 2, Luminarch Aspirant. And then when it triggers on that turn, you're going to put the +1 counter on the Aspirant, or whatever this card is, Aspirant. If you're French. Sorry if I made fun of any French viewers. I'm just a silly American. So that allows this to get to 2/2. So on the next turn, so on turn 3, when you attack with Hopeful Initiate and Luminarch Aspirant, you're going to get that training trigger. And then again, you're constantly doing it with these 2 creatures. You're going to be able to build them both very quickly. So next we have Ossification. This is a newer card from All Will Be One, and it's one colorless and a plains. It's an enchantment that says enchant basic land you control. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls until Ossification leaves the battlefield. So this is a great way to get rid of some of the bigger creatures that are out there. It's only a 2-drop. So again, I did pop this up to 4 just for a little bit of control, so that way if I get into the situation where I need to build my board state, I could just keep pulling, even if it's just their mana dork, just grab that Land of War Elves or whatever it is and reduce those threats. It's also great to ossify Shieldreds. That's probably my least loved card to play. I mean, that is my most hated. Okay, that is my most hated card to play against, I swear. So Ossification allows you to just kind of grab and mute that threat, if you will. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, has first strike, and then non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. This is usually, after I get going, this is usually if I have a Luminarch out there, the Thalia is what I'm dumping counters on because of the first strike. And also trying to race out of those burn spells, trying to get this above 4 as fast as possible. We are running very low CMC deck, which means we're leaving ourselves up to a lot of those kill spells that are 2 CMC or less, or 3 CMC or less, because if you look here, we're only running up to 3 CMC. So the next one is Thalia's Lieutenant, my favorite card of the deck. So it says, when it enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on each human you control, and then whenever another human enters the battlefield, this gets bigger. So again, it's just a good anthem to get your creatures to be a little bit larger. Next we have Adeline, Respondent Cathar. Again, probably one of, this is one of the key cards in the deck. Okay, so number 1, it has Vigilance, which is awesome. Number 2, we're coming in on at earliest turn 3. So with that, we're probably already going to be, we're going to have 2 creatures out there plus this one, so it's going to come in as a 3/4 with Vigilance. But then its effect is whenever you attack, for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature that's tapped and attacking. So what's cool about that, and the turn that Adeline comes out, it'll actually trigger. So it's not any time that Adeline attacks, it's any time you go into attacks. So again, this is kind of a key card. A lot of time I'll save some of my protection stuff, like that Brave the Elements, for Adeline if they try to target it. Next is Brutal Cathar. For 2 colorless and a plains, it allows you to exile a target creature an opponent controls until this leaves the battlefield. So again, you're coming in with 3, pulling away the big threat, and then you have yourself a 2/2 human. As far as land, we're running 2 Castle Arvindales, so that way in the late game we can create the 1/1 creature tokens, just to again go a little bit wider, and then at the same time go a little bit taller, especially with Thalia's Lieutenants. Alganjo, Seat of the Empire, we're running 2 of those. It says pay 2 and a plains, and then deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature, and it costs 1 less for each legendary. So we are running legendary creatures with Adeline, with Thalia, as well as the Skrelves. I think that's the only ones. So yeah, so that is a little bit cheaper, and it allows you to just deal with big threats, and basically show, get them to, send damage when you're kind of holding back, basically your own little kill spell. 14 planes, and then 4 Mutavaults. Mutavaults are pretty cool. So you pay 1 and it becomes a 2/2 creature with all creature types until the end of turn, and it's still a land. So this is good when you need to get some blockers up there, and especially later in game when you have a few more of these planes out there and you don't need the Mutavaults as much. That's where I am running those. So I don't really have much of a sideboard in Arena right now. You know, the traditional portable holes, mana value 2 or less. You know, little 1-drop removal. Rest in Peace. So this is for if you're playing like a best of 3 and you do have the option to sideboard. This is good for any graveyard when they're trying to do any graveyard recursion. Anytime it hits the graveyard, it's going to exile those cards. So if you're going up against a self-mill deck where they're going to pull stuff out, like, what is it, Abzan, Greasefang, where they're going to be pulling stuff out of their graveyard, this is a good way to go up against that. Wedding Announcement's cool. So at the beginning of your end step, put an invocation counter on it. If you attacked with 2 or more creatures this turn, draw a card. Otherwise, you make a white human creature token. And then once you've done this for 3 turns, creatures you control get +1/+1. So nice little anthem. But you're getting some card draw out of that. So it's, you know, card draw or a token. So it's kind of a win-win. These are on my sideboard. Haven't really ran them in a deck too much, but I will be experimenting with it a little bit. So let's go ahead and get into a game. Again, my goal here is to get Mythic. I just started playing yesterday, but this is my quest for Mythic. Here we go. Hopefully this is a win. I want to show you guys a win with this deck. All right, so what we're looking at right now, we have 2 lands. We have our turn 1 could be any of those, and then we have our Thalia in order to kind of cost them a little bit more to cast their spells, and then turn 3 we're getting our Adeline. So yeah, we're gonna keep this. I'm not really too worried about not having that 3rd land in this deck. It hasn't really bit me all too much. Now sequencing, we want to make sure we put the plains in first because Castle Arvindale comes in tapped unless you control a plains. We'll toss a recruitment officer out there. Again, I'm not really seeing what they're doing. Judging by the Niv Mizzet's sleeves there, I'm assuming they're running Izzet. So turn 2, we didn't get our land. We'll throw out Castle Arvindale, and then because they are a spell slinger, gonna go ahead and get Thalia out there, hopefully slow them down a little bit. We are gonna start attacking, try to get that early shot. Cool. So still didn't get our land, which again, not a huge deal. We can still start getting, you know, our Hopeful Initiate out there, so that way it can kind of pair up with some of these other ones. I am gonna hold back and not put out another creature in case they are doing, you know, with red, any of the burn spells, like the Shatter, what is it? Shatter, whatever. So I'm going to hold that back for now and play a little bit more of a conservative game. Okay, so we have Adeline on the field. See, that's what I didn't want. Notice how it paused there. So they do have an instant in their hand. Let's see. So we're going to get our training trigger. We're going to get our +1 trigger. Ooh, yep, there it is. Yeah, so they definitely just took out one of our creatures. So what they played was to any target. So Spikefield Hazard deals 1 damage to any target. It goes to exile. So if we look in our banishment, it was like 2 minutes ago, and I don't even remember what it was. Oh, yeah, see, they didn't like our Adeline out there. Because that's costing them a little bit more. So hopefully we'll draw into another one. That would be nice. Ooh, turn to our turn. That's interesting. They are showing an instant in their hand, but apparently not really enough to... so creature here, oh, yeah, they kind of gave up there. So we do have a victory. Woohoo! Did we just rank up too? Oh, we did rank up. We are on gold tier 3. So, yeah, so we were going into, I missed a land drop, so we were in around turn 4, sending 2, 4, 9, 10, 11. It was about to be a counter, so that makes it 12, and then another human token would have been created, so about 13. Um, about 13. So does pretty good against decks that need a little bit of time to set up. But there are others that I just have a really, really bad matchup against. Seems like anything with black tends to cause me issues with their Thoughtseize and Fatal Push. What else? Sometimes green just ramps really quickly, especially some of the Karn builds that are out there. But overall, it does, the deck does pretty good. So I did say that we would open some packs, so let's see what we have over here. Let's jump over to the overhead so that way we can kind of test it out and see. Hopefully you are able to see the screen there. So yes, pardon my messy desk, but we'll just pop some draft boosters. These are Dominaria United. So why draft boosters? So I picked these up at Target. We had a gift card, number one. And number two, I don't really have, so collection size-wise, I don't really have a lot of United cards. I was actually, for like 2 or 3, actually like 5 months I was traveling, so I really wasn't buying any of the cards. So I'm really just looking to build up some of my playset kind of stuff with these cards. So we have Argonian Phalanx, Gaia's Might, Keldon Strike Team, Splatter Goblin, Academy Wall, Stall for Time, Flowstone Kavu, Tangled Inlet, Phyrexian Warhorse, Sunlit Marsh, Runic Shot, Choking Melisma, Rada Coalition Warlord. Ooh, nice little pull with an Ajani. An Ajani Sleeper Agent. That's actually pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. I don't know if it's good or not. +1 is reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature or planeswalker card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, you may put it on the bottom. Distribute 3 +1/+1 counters on 3 target creatures. They gain vigilance until the end of turn. And it's 6, so at least 2 turns later, you get an emblem with you cast. Whenever you cast a creature or planeswalker spell, target opponent gets 2 poison counters. What? That's pretty cool. I'm glad that was on stream. That's a pretty cool one. So I love Ajani. So if you look at the thing here, I don't know why, but I've just always really liked the Ajani Planeswalker. I wish the meta was in Ajani's favor, so I could actually play him in the deck. But yeah, it's actually pretty cool that I pulled that. Anyway, I'll stop fanboying about Ajani. So let's open up our second pack here. As we wait, I'm probably only going to play a single game so I can go review the footage. But yeah, hopefully other nights we'll have a little bit longer sessions. So, Semite Herbalist, Bite Down, Amplified, Sacred Peaks, Bodge Badger, Crystal, Grotto. So when it enters the battlefield, you can scry 1, and then it filters out your color list for whatever color you like. Ooh, Thran Portal. What is Thran Portal? It enters tapped unless you control 2 or fewer lands. When it enters the battlefield, choose a basic land type. It is the chosen type, in addition to its other types. Mana abilities of Thran Portal cost an additional 1 life to activate. I'll have to read up on that. I don't feel like that's all that great, but I could be totally wrong. Maybe I'm just not thinking of how that was meant to be played. Cool. Another Guy's Might, another Strike Team, another Splatter. These are like all the exact same. Micromancer, Berserker, Stormrunner. Ooh, nice little hit on the old Sulphurous Springs. Love to see that art. And one of the cool full arts. And a Soldier! So my commander deck that I play, one of 2 decks, is I play soldiers and I play squirrels and goblins. Are those the only ones? Yes. Yeah, Those were the only ones. So about probably about 3 months ago, I kind of had a conversation with myself and said, TJ, you can't just keep building all of these decks and not playing them. You need to focus on something and do that well. So that's what I did. I actually gutted like 10 different decks that I had built, and I'm just focusing on some tribal stuff. So yes. Okay, well that does it for tonight. Super excited for the Ajani Planeswalker that I pulled. I don't even care what the value is. It could be 22 cents, and I would still be a happy camper. So hopefully you can hear all this, and hopefully this wasn't all garbage. Yeah, if you need absolutely anything, give me a holler. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I want your feedback. Shoot me an email at tj@losthobby, losthobbygaming.com, and I would love to hear your feedback. So with that, thank you very much, and we will get out of here.